Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name is Amanda and in today's video we are going to be looking at doing a removal and reapplication of the Kiki London rubber base system. So I really hope you all enjoy watching. However, I have something really exciting to share with you all before we jump into the video. So here we have the Kiki London Cuticle Revitalising Oil, but it has had a little bit of a rebrand and upgrade to the packaging. So I thought we would take a good look at these. So if you are familiar with the Kiki London cuticle oils, you would know that there are 3 scents. We have sweet peach, fresh rose and coconut escape. Now the cuticle oils themselves are exactly the same, it's just the packaging that's had a really nice upgrade. So as you can see, the boxes now come in this really beautiful black and gold effect, and it's got a lot of information on the box. And I love, by the way, that these products are cruelty free and vegan friendly as well. So I just wanted to point that out. So as you can see, the boxes I think look really elegant. Now they're great if you're retailing them in your salons. And then the bottles themselves have changed slightly too. So they are still 20 milliliter, but they've just had a little bit of an upgrade. They're smaller in height but then a little bit wider, and I really like them. I think they look really, really glamorous. I'm loving the whole black and gold theme that they have. Now, as I said, the oils themselves haven't changed, so they are still the exact same Kiki London cuticle oils that you know and love, which consist of an energizing blend of natural light oils and vitamins designed to deeply penetrate to protect the skin and nails. So it's especially important that you are applying your cuticle oil twice daily. Now these are formulated with a combination of key ingredients including jojoba oil, which is recognized for its ability to be highly nourishing and reinforcing. They also include vitamin E and vitamin B, which are excellent hydrators and natural nail strengtheners. So if you aren't already using these, please do give them a try. Like I said, they're also really great to retail in your salon or to your clients because they just look really glam. Like, I love the fact I've got 2 of these in my nail salon, and then I have one sitting on my dressing table because it reminds me to use it every day, and it just looks so glam sitting there. I absolutely love them. So I'm sure we'll pop back in a little while and talk about them, but for now let's move on to our nails. So these are the set of rubber nails that I did on last Friday's YouTube video, I believe it was. I will leave it linked in the description box below in case you want to check out how I applied these. Now I did 2 coats of the rubber base system on that set of nails because we was using them as a base coat and for the color coat. And in that video I also mentioned that I applied them slightly thicker to build up a little bit more of a natural apex and add that extra layer of strength to my nails. So when I've built them up slightly thicker, I remove them a little bit differently to when I'm doing a regular base and gel polish removal. So I was just showing you guys there that you do have 2 files to choose from when you're doing this. You want to be using a 100 grit file, so you can either use the 100 rectangular file or you can use your 180 half moon file, which is what I chose to use in today's video. Now because I've applied them a little bit thicker, to speed up the removal process, I like to file down a little bit of that thickness that we've built up. So this is why I like to use the 100 grit side of the file. So as you can see, I'm taking off my top coat, the nail art that we painted on, the water decals, and just a little bit of the thickness that we would have built up in that second coat of rubber base. This is just going to speed up the work that your gel polish remover has got to do. So as you can see, I'm being very careful. I'm only going in one direction with my file, so you don't want to be going left and right, backwards and forwards. You want to just keep your file going in one direction. Really quickly on this nail, I did have a little crystal, so we're just removing that with some old cuticle nippers before we go in and start filing. I like to use old cuticle nippers here just so that, because removing the crystals with them will blunt down your cuticle nippers, so you want to make sure that you are using an old pair that you don't mind ruining effectively. And then just one sweeping motion going across the nail just to take down some of that thickness. It's just going to speed up the work that your gel polish remover's got to do. Then I'm going to take my Kiki London dust brush and remove all of that dust that we've created, and this is what the nails are looking like so far. So you can still see we've got probably 1 layer of the rubber base coat left on the nails, and just reduced it down to a thin layer. You want to be careful when you are doing your removal that you're not hitting the natural nail plates. Be really cautious and mindful that when you are doing that filing, you're not hitting the new regrowth area of your natural nails. Then I'm going to take the Kiki London gel polish remover, some lint-free pads, and these little clips I picked up from eBay years ago. But before I actually do my removal, what I actually like to do when I'm doing a removal is apply a really teeny tiny amount of cuticle oil just to the skin. So I'm not actually focusing this on the cuticles, I'm just applying it on the skin around the cuticles. Now this isn't a necessary step, but I have super dry skin, especially now that we're going into the colder months. I've always struggled with this, and I find that the acetone or the gel polish remover can dry out that skin a little bit more, and it makes doing the rest of the nails look a little bit untidy. So what I like to do is just apply a teeny tiny amount of that cuticle oil just on the skin, so that then the acetone isn't going to dry out my my skin as much as what it does without that little bit of oil there. I really hope that makes sense. But as I said, that is just an optional step. It's something I like to do on my own nails. Then I'm just applying a generous amount of the Kiki London gel polish remover, which is 99% acetone, to those lint-free pads, and then I'm popping the clips over the top that hold them in place. An alternative to the clips is tin foil as well, which does also help speed up the process. Now I left these on for around 7 minutes. I timed it because it takes 10 to 15 minutes to do a removal. So I left the first step of this on for 7 minutes. Then once that had soaked in, just chilled for 7 minutes, I'm going to take a old cuticle pusher, and I use this to start rubbing and flaking off that rubber base coat that's just breaking away. The gel polish remover has broken it down. Again, the reason why I'm using an older one here is it can blunt your cuticle pusher. So what I usually do is I buy 2 cuticle pushers, keep one for removals and one for doing my cuticle and prep work. So as you can see, it looks as though not much has happened, but when you start scraping it, it starts flaking away. Now you want to be really gentle when you are flaking off the rubber base coat or any base coat, gel polish, whatever it is you are removing. You want to be really gentle because you are working quite closely on top of the natural nail plate. So although it looks as though I'm being a little bit rough, that is just where the video has been sped up. I'm just using nice gentle motions to flake that off. On some of the nails you will see that a lot of the rubber base coat, like on this one, has just flaked off by itself. Now I'm not digging down onto the natural nail plate. I know that there's going to still be a thin layer left on the nail. I kind of like to break this down into 2 steps when I'm doing this removal. So we will actually come in again and reapply some of the gel polish remover to remove any of that excess rubber base that has still been left on the nail. It is only a small amount, but I just find it easier breaking it down and removing a lot of the top layer first of all, because then that way you're able to be a lot more gentle on the natural nail. So as you can see here, we've just still got a really thin coating going over the natural nail plate. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take those same lint-free pads, reapply a little bit more of that gel polish remover and put them back on to soak, but this time for only 5 minutes. Now in total, this removal probably took me around 15 minutes. I soaked the first lot off for 7 minutes, and then it was only a couple of minutes scraping off the excess, and then we're going to re-soak for 5 minutes. So you should only need around 15 minutes, and this goes the same for doing a builder gel removal as well. I do find that a basic gel polish removal can be a little bit quicker, but when you're working with rubber bases, rubber top coats and builder gels, where they are more strengthening, stronger products, they do take just a couple more minutes longer to remove. So like I said, I left this on to soak for a further 5 minutes, and I'm pretty much just wiping off any excess that has been left behind on the nail plate. I'll use that same cuticle tool just to scrape off any stubborn little bits, but I'm being super gentle because you don't want to dig down or be scraping at the natural nail plate. Whenever you are working directly on top of the natural nail plate, it is really careful. You've got to be really cautious. I was meant to say there. You've got to be really cautious and work really careful, because it is very easy to damage the natural nail plate, especially if you are working on someone who has already got weak damaged or brittle nails. And I did say in my previous video that the reason we was doing the rubber based manicure is because I haven't really taken very good care of my nails over the last couple of weeks, and they are on the little bit of the weaker side, and they've got a little bit of damage to them. So that's why I'm being extra careful. A lot of the time when you are soaking off this final layer, it will pretty much just flake away because it's such a thin layer that was left behind. Then once we have done this to all of the nails, we're going to give them a really good dust just to remove any of that excess that's left on the skin and nails. And then what I do is I just take one of those lint-free pads, apply a little bit of gel polish remover to it, and just wipe over all of the nails, just so that we can make sure we have completely cleaned everything away. And then here is the finished result of that. So we're back down to naked nails. Now I am just going to really quickly show you guys how I prep my nails. I have got a dedicated prep video up on the channel which goes into a little bit more detail, so I will leave that linked in the description box below. But after doing a removal, I start off by pushing back all the cuticles. I found that I had a little bit of excess rubber base that was just, it had flaked off, but it was stuck in the sidewalls there, so we was just scraping that away. But yep, I push back my cuticles, remove any cuticle that has grown up the nail plate into that regrowth area, and then I like to come in with this ball bit on my e-file and just go around the skin. If I have got any stubborn cuticle, I will come in with cuticle nippers, but because I only did my nails last week, I only wore those nails for a week, there wasn't too much excess cuticle or prep work needed to do. A lot of the time your clients are going to wear nails for 2 to 3 weeks, so then you would have a lot more in-depth prep to do. So that's why I mentioned I will leave that video linked in the description box below. So then I did come in and buff the nail surface with a 100 grit buffer just to remove the shine from the natural nail plate and very gently etch the natural nail plate. And then I'm coming in with the 180 grit side of my file, and I'm just going to neaten up and reshape my natural nail. Then we are going to take one of the Kiki London alcohol wipes, and I'm going to use this to cleanse and dehydrate the nail plate. So this is going to remove any dust or debris that you might still have on the nails, but then the alcohol in this is also going to dehydrate the nail, making it ready for your primer. Talking of primer, of course, we are going to use the Kiki London primer. Now this is an air drying primer, and a little bit really goes a long way. So I like to just take a small amount on my brush and apply it to all 5 nails, starting with the largest down to the smallest, just because you're only going to need a little bit. If you do feel as though you've not got enough left on your brush, of course you can go back into your bottle. And then we are going to stick with using a rubber base. So here I have RB14. We're not going to be using this one for the colour today, so we're just going to be using it as in one coat as a regular rubber base coat. So what I like to do is I do still like to build a little bit of strength with these. So I'm going to take a small amount on my brush and apply it to the entire nail, starting slightly back from that cuticle area and then pushing up towards the cuticle. And as you can see, I'm applying a little bit of pressure. I'm really working that into the nail plate, kind of like scrubbing it in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a teeny tiny little bit more of that rubber base and just float that over that first layer that we applied, just building up a really nice natural apex in that back third of the nail and building up a little bit of extra strength. This is one of my preferred ways to apply the rubber base coat. In the previous video I did this but in 2 coats to give us that colour for one and then that extra level of thickness. And again, because I just was saying I like to wear them like a builder gel overlay, but in today's video we're working with it as a regular base coat. So I've done that on all 5 nails, curing them for 30 seconds. And then I very recently added Kiki London's Garden Mist to my collection, and it is absolutely stunning. I wanted to keep with a bit of a Christmassy theme because I'm really loving the Christmas nail art, and I feel that this is kind of quite a subtle nod towards Christmas. So we're going to do a full set of this beautiful colour. As always, I always take my stripe liner brush and have this next to me ready to use if I need to get closer to my cuticles. So now when you are applying a glitter gel polishes, I like to start off with applying a thin coat to begin with, and you kind of want to float them on, otherwise you'll end up pulling the glitter off, if that makes sense. So what I do is I take a very small amount on my brush and float it on, so we're not applying too much pressure, but where we've only got a small amount on the brush, it's not going to flood the nail. I did hit my skin here. This is the problem with working on short nails. I find it really tricky, especially when you're working on yourself, to pull the skin back. So I just took my angled nail art brush and cleaned off that gel. And then we're going to take the stripe liner brush with a small amount of Garden Mist and get a little bit closer to that cuticle. And I love the stripe liner brush for this. It's really great because it's long and thin. I find it great for getting really close to the cuticles, but great for coming around those side walls as well. So that was the first coat of that applied. I did my thumb separately, so I did one coat on this and then popped it into cure, and then we are going to do the rest of the nails. So as I was saying, when you're working with glitter gel polish, it can be a little bit different application wise to your regular colors. As you see there, where I applied with a little bit too much pressure, it pulled that glitter away. And the platinum ranges are set in kind of like a semi jelly color, so the gel isn't clear, it's got a hint of green to it. So you'll see if you pull too hard, you get the green jelly effect, but you pull a lot of that glitter off. So what I like to do is I like to let the brush fan out a little bit, get a layer down on the nail, and then I'll very carefully just float the glitter on, just to make sure that we're getting a thin, even layer of that glitter applied without adding too much bulk or without pulling off too much of the glitter. Now, as with all of the Kiki London colours, it is recommended that you apply them in 2 thin coats. So don't stress about getting full opacity with your glitters, especially in 1 coat. It is better to apply them thin and come in with a 2nd coat, which is exactly what we're going to do in today's video. So I'm just going to finish off doing this on all of the nails. Now, you want to be really careful when you are working with your gels that you're not touching the skin or cuticles. One, you don't want to cause allergies or any kind of irritation to the skin by constantly getting gel on the skin. So you want to be really careful that you're not constantly touching the skin with your gel products. Of course, it happens by accident. If it does happen, then just remove it with some alcohol straight away. You want to make sure that you remove it before you are curing. And the other reason you don't want to be touching your skin or cuticles is because if you apply your gel and you've got a layer of it flooding the cuticle area, especially, as your gel starts growing out, it's going to grow off that cuticle, and then it's going to cause the whole layer to lift. So when you are applying this, you want to just make sure, if you're not confident getting close to the cuticles, then just leave a little gap until you have built up some experience and you are that bit more confident getting closer to the cuticles. But even with practice, it can be really hard to get a neat cuticle application with a bottle brush. So I would highly recommend having either the Kiki London stripe liner brush to hand or the Kiki London detail brush. Both of those are brilliant for getting a neat cuticle line. Now, once I had done the first coat, I popped that into cure, and then we're going to come in and do the 2nd coat. On the 2nd coat, especially with glitter, I don't stress too much about getting as close to that cuticle line as what we did on the first coat, but especially with glitter, because it can be a little bit thicker when it comes to application. So you don't want to end up with a thick ridge at that cuticle area anyway. So I just come in, I get as close as I can with my bottle brush, and I keep it at that. Now, when it comes to applying the 2nd coat with glitter, I apply it very similar to the first coat. You don't want to apply it too thickly, but you do want to kind of float it on so you get that even glitter application. So I go in with a little bit of pressure, and then I'll just work my brush over the nail to even out the glitter application. You do just want to make sure that you haven't overloaded your brush. That is one of the biggest mistakes when it comes to applying gel polish glitter, is there's too much on your brush, and then it's a lot harder to work with. It's a lot harder to get an even application, and then you end up with a thick, bulky, uneven nail. So when it comes to your glitters, you just want to have a little bit on your brush, and you will find it a lot easier to apply. Once we had finished off our 2nd coat of Garden Mist, I'm going to come in with the Kiki London No Wipe Rubber Top Coat. You guys probably know by now, this is my absolute favorite top coat for working on my own nails. Combined with the rubber base coat, it just provides an overall really strengthening system. It's brilliant for anyone with weak, damaged or brittle nails, and it's also amazing for sealing in your nail art as well. So I just applied a thin layer of that to all of the nails, and it does require a 60-second cure, so we popped that in to cure for 60 seconds, and this is the finished result. How stunning does Garden Mist look? I am absolutely loving the Platinum collection. If it isn't one that you've checked out, do let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to do some more videos on it. So then I had the trouble of choosing which cuticle oil do we go for. So as I mentioned, there are 3 scents. We have Coconut Escape, Sweet Peach and Fresh Rose. And Fresh Rose wasn't one I had in my collection until yesterday. So I added this one for today's video and I really love the smell. It smells so delicate and pretty. So we're going to give that a really good rub in. I like to apply a generous amount, work it in to my skin, my cuticles, around the tops of my fingers, right down my fingers. I love to really massage this in. I did then wipe off the excess from the nails, and this, guys, is the finished result. That does bring today's video to an end. I really hope you all enjoyed watching. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up and leave me your thoughts in the comments below. As always, all the products I've used will be linked in the description box below. I hope you all have a wonderful Friday. Lots of love. Take care. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye bye.